Well, hello. I'm Frank. We're in the cafe. I'm going to do a cable management demonstration. This is cable management for the stage. Like, how do we organize what I would call the play area? That's a theater vocabulary term. The play area is where the musician is going to stand. And we want to keep this place free of trip hazards, so they've got a place to work and they can perform and maybe move around and not get caught up in trip hazards. So we've got our monitor on the floor. The first thing I'm going to do is get out the mic stand. Proper etiquette for a mic stand. I'm going to loosen up this lower bass. We're going to hear it click. Right, when it hits the very bottom, it's kind of locked. It's gonna, let's do that. It did it, it locked all the way in, but one of the things I see folks do is that they don't get that all the way to the bottom. I did a good job, didn't I? And I see mic stands that look like that, right? So I want to make sure that that goes all the way to the bottom. I'm going to orient that fairly close to the monitor. I'm going to undo this. Very important that we get both of the knurled nuts on the same side. If you're OCD, we're going to hone in on your OCD-ness. You won't be the same after you've learned all this. Those, in my brain, that has to be right there. Then I'm going to get the mic and I'm going to hold on to the microphone in my hand and I'm going to spin that very end part of the mic stand, right? So the mic is always in my hand, no chance of dropping it. I'm going to hold on to that and I can tighten that down. One of the things that I see is folks that are learning how to do this, we see a lot of this, especially for a larger microphone, the potential of having that drop or fall. Plus, this is a lot easier. I can look at you and have a conversation while I'm tightening this thing up with no problem, right? The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to orient the XLR, where the locking tab is at the 12 o'clock position on the microphone. That makes it easy to get the mic cable in and out. I'm judgmental. If you didn't know that, I judge people based on mic stand etiquette. When I walk onto a stage in a nightclub or anywhere else, first thing I'm going to do is look at the mic stands. And if the mic stands are organized and they look correct like this, then I'm going to think this person knows what they're doing, they're educated, they've been shown how to organize this. When I see, mic stands that are in just wonky conditions and the XLR is flipped and things are messy, I go, well, they probably tried. They came to work, that's a good thing. The last time I really saw it all like this was Elton John was playing at the Bridgestone Arena, and I walked on stage, and the first thing I did was look at the orientation of that locking tab, and it was like, how nice is this? Because all the mic stands were the same. Okay, we're gonna get the mic cable, I'm sorry. Okay, there's a knot. Can't imagine that. And I got to do this. I just have to spend a minute. I've been doing this for 30 years. Is it important for you to watch your instructor untangle a mic cable? And the answer is yes. That's a worthwhile time because it needs to be done. I'm going to wrap this around once, maybe twice, and then my 12 o'clock, my locking tab goes in. That's really as simple as that needs needs to be. I see people that wrap just the cable just is all around. The problem with that is if for whatever reason that vocalist decides to walk around, or if we need to move it for whatever reason, and it's wrapped all the way around the cable, around the stand rather, it's just going to take time. Well, that one's even simpler. That just went around one time. That's probably what I would do. Now, part of this is I'm thinking about loadout. Like, I'm trying to go home at the end of the night, and if we have a mic cable that's wrapped all the way around a stand, that can be problematic. Now, there's a couple exceptions to that. Exceptions would be keyboard, right? If we've got a long extension, right, we want to wrap that cable around a couple of times if somebody's at a keyboard, whether they're sitting or standing at a piano. That would be a time. And the other time would be overheads, right? If we've got a drum kit and we've got overheads, you might want to wrap that cable around a couple of times just to keep things neat. But otherwise, most of the time, we're going to do it like very simple. Okay, where does this part go? Where does that boom arm end up being? I see this as a popular option where people raise the stand all the way up. Let's get the camera back here. Let's say you're the camera for the audience. What are you largely looking at when you're looking at this frame? And you see all of this real estate and this stuff is in front of my face. If you're the artist, if you're the reason why we're watching the DVD, I mean, let's face it, everything it gets videoed these days. We want to have this be as clean as possible. So I want to keep that boom arm down, and I want to get the height as much as I can with the rest of that structure. Keeping the smaller bits lower, like I wouldn't want to do that because that's less stable, right? I want to use the bigger, lower portions of the mic stand first before I do that extension. So there's that. I'm then going to get a sub snake, right? And the sub snake, typically what I would do is do 1 or 2 coils, and then the rest would go back to the main snake, whatever that would look like. I'm going to take this and wrap this up. If I know it's not going to move, I'm going to tuck it underneath the mic stand, plug it into channel number 1. We're happy with that. Monitor cable. Find the locking tab. I'm going to put 2 coils here. Two coils there, and then the rest is going to go to the power amplifier, right? Because that's speaker level. So the question is, where do I put the excess? So we've got this 50-foot monitor cable. Do I pile all of the excess cable at the monitor, or do I put it back at the power amplifier? And what I like to do is 1 or 2 coils at the monitor, maybe put the rest at the amplifier rack. What inevitably happens is someone's going to say, can we move this somewhere within a foot or 2? And you're going to say, well, of course. And then you move the monitor, and you've got a little bit of extra space in there, and you're fine. If we don't do that, and we just run the exact amount that we need, and who knows where that's running, that could be going anywhere on stage, and then we try to move that a couple of feet, and we're stuck. So we always want to do a couple. Do we put the excess on stage, right? Because then the artist is looking at that. Or do we route it on this side so there's a clean path for the artist? That is subjective, that is a judgment call. Neatness counts. There's arguments that if we put it on the downstage lip of the monitor, then the audience will see that pile of cables, right? They're going to see that mess. If we put it on the upside side of the stage, then the artist is going to deal with that. The overall directive here is neatness counts. So those are judgment calls. As long as we've got a couple of coils and we can move things, I think we're good. Next, I'd like to demo the DI and the 1/4-inch cable. I would try to get as short as cable as I can. You know what we've got. This is a 25-footer. I can tell to look at it. It's a 25-footer. If I had a 10-footer and I knew this is where this was going, I would probably use a 10-footer to get that DI. And we're just plugging it in, right? There's our DI, and then on the other side, we've got our 1/4-inch connectors. Taking my 1/4-inch cable, plug it into input. Because this is a service industry we work in, right? We're providing services to musicians or talent, whoever it happens to be. I want to take the cable, and I'm just going to drape it over the edge. You can get a sideways look at that. That 1/4-inch cable, I know this person sings, I know they play acoustic guitar. Rather than have the artist like look and say, where is that cable? Very intuitive to say, well, this must be my DI. I like doing that for folks. The other thing we're going to demonstrate is a short boom stand. Unlatch that just a little bit. There's that smack when it hits the bottom. Open that all the way up. You know, this could be for a kick drum. I'm imagining that this is a guitar amp. I'm going to take my microphone, hold it in my left hand or right hand, doesn't matter. I'm spinning that last little thing. And I'm going to put it next to my guitar amp. We're going to find the speaker, right, wherever that hole is, and get close to the edge. Very similar ideas where the excess goes underneath. I'm not going to plug it into the sub-snake because there isn't one. Go around once, maybe twice. And I would do the same exact thing for a kick drum. Let's talk about how we're going to gaff tape. How do we use gaff tape? Gaff tape is expensive. It is not duct tape. Gaffer's tape is a cloth-backed tape. Duct tape is a vinyl-backed tape. Duct tape, D-U-C-T, is designed for the HVAC industry, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, right? And it is designed to seal ductwork. We don't need anything that's nearly that sticky. Have you ever noticed like duct tape gets really sticky? That's what it's designed to do, because when you're sealing up metal ductwork, you want it to get sticky because then it seals out or seals in the airflow. We need something that's got a nicer adhesive. We start talking about tensile strength. How much force does it take to pull the tape off of something? I've studied gaff tape. I've found the most the highest tensile strength. I've spent way too much time thinking about gaffer's tape. Just get some good cloth back. The adhesive isn't as strong as duct tape, could be, certainly not as sticky, but then we're able to take gaff tape and we could tape a microphone on a $150,000 Steinway piano and not worry about pulling off the finish, right? So that's one of the benefits. How I tape things down, now you may not have a boss that's happy about this, but this is the foolproof method. The problem is that it takes a lot of tape, right? That's why some employers are like, don't tape it down like that. But this is foolproof. I'm only going to do just a short amount here. I would tack it down. You know, this is a pathway, right? We're walking somewhere. We're trying to keep people from tripping here. But I would plan it, go to the other side, stretch it out. I'm not going to do this whole thing because it would take a lot of tape. I go down one side. We're going about halfway, right? About halfway over. I'm going to tape that, right? And then let's just assume that I go all the way down to the end. Then I'm going to take another stripe of it and go on the other side. And again, I would go all the way down, but this is demonstrating. And then I have, that thing is secured. It is not coming up. I can guarantee you that. Takes a lot of tape. At the end of the night, and again, I'm about the loadout. At the end of the night, and it doesn't matter how long this thing is, I get one of the ends, because the side markers went down first, pick up one of those, I stand on the cable, and I walk, and I pull that all the way off. If we use just one piece of tape, I feel bad about throwing that away. If we use just one piece of tape, it might hold it down, but then it's entirely possible that the tape wraps around the cable and sticks to itself. And when it sticks to itself, then it's hard to get off. It's very challenging to get off. You're doing loadout, and you throw it in a flight case, and then we have cables that have tape stuck all over them. I hate old labels. I hate old tape. If you look, none of my stuff has that. One of the ways that we do that, again, takes more tape, but valid. Let me see if I can reuse some of this. Another method for this is to, certainly more economical. You could, every foot, every 2 feet, do something that looks like this. Now, is that valid? Yes. And I might do this depending on where it is. Like if I've got a cable that's along the side somewhere that needs tacked, not a high traffic area, and I've got to cover a lot of distance, I would tape it down like this because that's going to save a lot of tape. And if it's not a high traffic area, but for spaces where I know people are going to be walking on and off stage, I would certainly tack it down with both. Sometimes you get administrators, ministers at podiums, right, at a music stand, and they've got to deliver their address, and the only way to get power to that podium, because sometimes they have lights and clocks and stuff in them, the only way to get power there is to come straight back, like I've experienced that. I would do the double tape. I would do tape and tape, do a stripe, do a stripe. I've had administrators from the university say, man, that's a good tape job. Like I didn't trip, I didn't worry about it. A lot of times, like you want them to focus on what they have to focus on. So that is my gaff tape lecture. The other thing I'd like to address is quad boxes. How do we deal with AC management on stage? If this is a guitar amp, I would be running from behind. I would probably lay this, give it same thing is give it a couple of coils, and then we're gonna run this off to wherever it needs to be. It is entirely possible that we could have somebody downstage center that needs AC. They've got a pedal, or they could have a keyboard. This could be a keyboard stand. We need some AC to it, and we go, well, is it okay if I ran the electricity right next to the audio cables, to the microphone cables or the speaker cables, either one? Officially, we want to keep those separated as much as possible. We want probably several feet in between those two. Run them parallel for each other. The concept is that there is an electromagnetic field around the AC cable because we have electrons flowing through a wire. We're going to generate a magnetic field. We're putting an electrical signal next to an audio signal. Oh my goodness. Technically, that's all true. We see more problems with feeder cable, like big transmission pipelines, than we do for little extension cords. If we have a properly grounded system and we have good mic cables that work, this is a non-issue. In my career, I've laid them side by side with no issues. The problem with cable management on stage is a lot of times we're limited to pathways, like how can we get to the drum kit, how can we get to the keyboard. We're trying to keep the play area nice and clean, so we do end up running cables side by side on a regular basis. I'm sure that's going to spark some controversy. No, we can't do that. Practically speaking, it is certainly doable. If there are problems, like we do have buzzes or hums in the system, then I would look at that and I would consider, well, maybe this is an issue, let's resolve that. But on a day-to-day basis, if everything is working and it's all in good quality, good condition, not a problem in my opinion.